So something happened earlier this summer that I think has been really underreported in Canada, and it has to do with data sovereignty, which I know is not the sexiest topic in the world, but nevertheless is extremely important for a country, right? Governments hold a lot of data on their citizens, a lot of R&D data, and to have it be compromised could be a really big deal. It could be a big deal for the country to maintain its sovereignty in other ways, and obviously a really big deal for the citizens that would be impacted. So in France, I don't know if it was just like some government investigative committee thing, but Microsoft said that they actually couldn't guarantee that French data would remain sovereign, as in if they had a legal court order from the United States government that compelled them to share data that they held that was the French government's data but held in Microsoft servers on the Microsoft cloud, then they would have to give up that data. Now, they don't like to do it. They would encourage the United States government to go to the source that they wanted the data from instead of the middleman, which would be Microsoft. But they could not guarantee that they would be able to protect that data. They would have to comply with the United States government request. And this really flagged for me because Microsoft powers a lot of the systems of the government of Canada as well. Like Microsoft is everywhere in the government of Canada. And it's a scary thought. And I remember being in meetings like, years ago where data sovereignty was part of the fabric of the conversation. It was like, well, we're going to maybe buy your product or we're maybe going to license your product. Can you guarantee data sovereignty? And there were so many things that these companies would tell us, in terms of, well, we'll host it on Canadian soil or whatever. And it's now becoming obvious that a lot of the workarounds or the measures, that's maybe the better word, is the measures that were put in place to protect Canadian data they just don't really apply anymore. Now, it's not only Microsoft, okay? And I do think they deserve credit for being honest because we're so used to people lying and obfuscating this stuff all the time. There's lots of other products out there, lots of other companies that provide products to governments. And so the hot issue is not Microsoft. The hot issue is what lengths do countries and should countries go to protect their data? Now, we expect that a company operating in a country is going to follow the laws of that country. And so, probably a year ago, the idea of respecting United States law when it came to data was not a big deal. And the only reason this has become a big deal is because we see what the current regime in the United States is doing and how it is systemically undermining the rule of law, so that we don't have any confidence anymore in what a legal request from the Trump administration would even look like, and therefore have no confidence in their ability to handle that data or use that data in accordance with law. And so it's got me thinking about, like, how do we manage this as a country? And I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. I do know that, one of the obvious things people will say is, well, let's just encrypt it all. And yes, that's absolutely, like, number one, encrypt as much as you can. So all the stuff that lives on servers, or in the clouds that belong to private companies should be encrypted, but data can't always stay encrypted. At some point, you have to take it out and use it, and therefore it becomes unencrypted. So we have to interact with these systems. Now, do we have capabilities in Canada to build our own systems? And, I get that this is a bit of a slippery slope. We all can't build everything we all use all of the time, right? Like, specialization gives us economies of scale and allows us to do things cheaper. If you had to, grow the grain and the lettuce and raise the chicken for your chicken sandwich, it would cost you over $3,000, and it would take you months and just to eat one sandwich. I mean, we get to do things because, to some extent, organizations, people, they specialize. But is this a situation where, because we have absolutely, like, the talent and the experience and the capability to build our own software systems that the government could use that would give us a higher degree of confidence in our data sovereignty? Is this an area that the Canadian government should be exploring? I personally think that yes, because I know we've got people around who can do this. And so, but I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. Like, you know, do we think this is the way to go, or do we think that, you know, we need to be using other people's technologies and put our money somewhere else? So hit me with your thoughts and comments. I'm curious on this one. Otherwise, I hope everyone's doing great.